Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. On today's show, we recap the full first season of Star Trek Picard, pick our favorite characters, and are you really Jean Luc or just the fancy robo simulation of him? Oh, they're still using money. What's up with that? And we hear from a super fan about the Star Trek cruise. Send us your comments and questions. Go to starfleetunderground.com and click that Contact Us button.
Hey, good day, everyone, and welcome back to Starfleet Underground. And this is your first time, welcome home here. We have a special guest today that's going to be joining us. We actually came across him in a pleasure yacht. We don't come across those too often out here in the Delta Quadrant, but he is a guest of ours. His wife's going to be joining us next week. Don't know if she's off in a shuttlecraft or something like that. And they travel with their fairy companions, like Portos, from how Captain Archer did. So, welcome aboard there, Andy. Introduce yourself. Tell us something about you.
Oh, thank you, Nathan. I'm Andy Holt. I am an avid Star Trek superfan. Among my many lame claims to fame is I once had my chest signed by William Shatner. I also appeared as the character Admiral Nagura in the highly acclaimed web series Star Trek Continues. I regularly attend the Star Trek Las Vegas convention every year, as well as the Star Trek cruise. We just got off of that cruise earlier in March. Fortunately, we were able to squeeze that in before everything got locked down.
Outstanding. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me. This is quite an honor.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you out here. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Nathan. I am captain of our little vessel. I'm also the retired fleet admiral of the 1701st Starfleet Command. You can find us almost everywhere. We're all over the place. And now also we have Heather.
Hello. How are you guys? I'm Heather. I'm the science officer. And again, before we get started, Andy, I'm glad you like furry animals. I have a couple furry tribbles, actually a little more than a couple, to give you while Fred is away. So just don't tell Fred I gave them to you.
Okay, very nice. Thanks. I heard they taste quite good.
You don't have
They're like scallops inside.
Thankfully, we don't have the cookbook for that. So Fred, who's normally here, is again away on Section 31. They grabbed him again. Hopefully, he'll be in sometime during this episode. If not, we'll probably hear from him next week and find out what things they had him do this time. And now we also
Section
have
31 does that a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they have.
And then they never really give an explanation.
No.
I swear they're not really doing anything important.
You know all of those stories you hear Earth people say about being abducted by aliens? I swear it's Section 31. I'm just saying.
Oh, I thought they were illegal aliens.
No, they're just Section 31. And I've discovered, however, you walk into a room and you don't remember why you were in the room. And you're just like, what did I come in here for? I finally figured it out through security feed why that happens. Every time I go into the galley area, there are other aliens in there. And then Section 31 and the Men in Black come and they neuralize me. So I don't remember that they were there. And then I go back and go, why was I in that room? This guy been neuralized.
Oh, I always thought it was a glitch in the Matrix.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, which explains why I mispronounce words. They're messing with my chordal memory over here all the time. And we have our engineer, Fred. No, sorry. See, I told you, damn neuralizer. We have Rocky, our engineer. Introduce yourself, Rocky.
Hello, it's Rocky in engineering. And I swear, you put down a wrench or a turbo spanner somewhere. I just made that up, turbo spanner, but it sounds cool. You put it down and you're working on something. Where did I put that damn thing? It was right here. And yeah, I've had that happen too. I would totally blame Section 31 for that. I don't know about getting probed, though. I haven't had that problem.
Oh, it can be a pain in the butt.
That's for sure. Well, Starfleet Underground is brought to you by who we just been bad-mouthing in Section 31. And we're here. We are never below Warp 9. So, which is a good thing. Now we're going to go ahead and talk about any news. Has anybody heard any really good news this week?
Well, Star Trek Picard's soundtrack is apparently out.
Ooh.
If you like the music to Star Trek Picard, it's on Amazon.
Oh, you get to listen to Soji sing?
That's from what I understand. You get that too. I haven't gotten a chance to download it, but I'm going to. And I also want to know if they've got the callback to the original series music that's in there, that danger sounding music, that da 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 sounding music that appeared several times within the show. Every time I got goosebumps. It was so cool.
Oh man, I got to use that when I'm cooking.
Well, they had a little bit of callback at the very beginning of the opening theme, at the very end of it,
well,
right?
They did call back to Next Gen a lot, but then they called back to Voyager a little. But when they called back to the original series with that ominous theme, it just right down to my core, because I grew up on the original series, and that just hit me like a ton of bricks.
See, now I've already downloaded I've only heard the Blue Skies because that's such a cool thing to listen to when you're puttering around. So they actually did a good job with that soundtrack. So I have enjoyed it. It looks like one of the tribbles got loose there, Andy. I hear.
Yes, I apologize. That is my some of my crew members are acting up again. They're complaining about not getting enough.
Well, you feed them the tribbles.
I can't edit those out, but I don't think I will. I think I'll leave that in there. I like the charm.
You could feed them the tribbles because Lord knows you just feed one, you got more. So we might have helped your food supply out there.
Yes. When I tell you that my people will contact your people, well, those are my people.
Okay.
They have quite a bark.
Yes. My people have gone to the dogs.
Also, for those of you who don't know, Picard has been renewed for a second season, which is awesome because the first season was really, really good. And that's what we're going to be spending this episode to talk about, is all of our favorite things.
But there was probably a little question about them being renewed, right? I mean, they put so much effort into that show. I thought that was almost a given.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that they renewed it before then.
I'm looking forward to seeing who they have on season 2. Season 1 was such a nice welcome back for some old characters, like, for example, Riker, Troy, 7 of 9. It was so nice to see all these old characters come back, and I want to see what characters they bring back in season 2. I know Whoopi's going to get back, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Whoopi again. And I wonder if they'll bring Q back. So who do you think they're going to bring for season 2?
Rumor says that Robert Picardo is going to be back, the doctor. So that's going to be pretty awesome. To see him and Seven interact again would be nice.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I thought that they were going to have Q in this season. I really thought that at the very... Are we allowed to talk? We're allowed to talk about the whole show, right? There's no spoiler
the whole
issues.
Thing, the whole thing.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But...
We've all seen it, so you should have seen it too.
Yeah,
right.
By the way, our whole podcast is one big spoiler for those who haven't realized that yet.
Yeah, it's pretty tough to get through this podcast without getting at least one spoiler.
You have to watch the show before you start listening to us. And if you haven't watched the show yet and you are listening to us, stop listening to us right now. Just go watch it because Picard is free right now on CBS All Access. Put in the promo code GIFT. And you have 2 months to sit and watch the whole thing. And then you do yourself a favor. Find our podcast, start us from the very first, and get caught up to here. And so we'll wait until you do all this. All right, thanks. Welcome back. Go ahead, Andy.
The miracle of the pause button.
So I was thinking when Picard died at the end there, I was placing my bets that Q would show up and bring him back to life. But then, of course, they did the whole android thing, which was, I don't know, a little bit lame because they brought him back in the exact same body. He looks exact same age, and he's going to age in the same way. And I was like, okay.
I agree with you. I wasn't a big fan of that. One thing is this golem is supposed to be the first ever golem that you could transfer someone's mind into, and it's not, a normal thing that is just tossed around. So why on earth would they only set the golem to live for, let's say, a few more years? Like, if you had a golem that worked and it actually worked, you're not going to set it for just a couple more years.
I wanted superpowers.
Yeah,
I want super android strength.
I would turn the clock back at 20 years or something,
But you figure if you know Picard and you're friends with him as they all were, they know he wouldn't have wanted that. They know he wouldn't have wanted to come back more than whatever. He just wanted the time that's left to him.
Oh, who wouldn't want to come back a few years younger when you're that age?
Yeah, really.
Come on.
That was one of the messages, though. The message in there is that, lifespan, in butterflies, and a butterfly is not a butterfly if it's a butterfly forever. It's kind of, that's kind of the message they were trying to put out at the end there with Data. Life is defined by the finitism.
Yeah, but a butterfly can still be a butterfly for a few more years.
Yeah,
right,
I agree.
exactly.
I agree.
Not
if
forever.
You get a little extra, it's like playing pinball. You get the extra ball. It's totally worth it,
Yeah.
But it'd be nice to have, a few more years on that extra ball. Yeah.
If you really want to wrinkle your brain, is that really kind of Picard? Because Picard died.
Exactly.
He basically died. So he was dead. So, and then this golem comes, you put his memory on. Does that really mean he's really Picard?
Exactly.
Or is it just a simulation of him?
Or
No, I fully agree. It's arguable that it's not him. And maybe they should rename the next season Copy of Picard.
Or maybe a question mark at the end. Picard?
Picard 2.0.
Yeah, I like that.
now is that sort of like, let's say, doing a teleporter where you die and then you come back because all of your atoms are reassembled? Is this,
That's a
the
good
same
point.
thing?
Yeah, that was
really...
Bones' biggest thing. Yeah.
That's very interesting because there is a difference when you get your matter displaced and you get reassembled, that your soul is still attached to that. We don't understand how or why, but it is. But when you die and you become a simulation in a robot body, even if it is human flesh and whatnot, but the brain is positronic, where is the soul in that? And how? Yeah, very, very cool mythical questions we have here.
And where did they put Picard's body?
Yes.
It's in the ground someplace,
question.
right? Or do they just beam it out and scatter it everywhere?
Are they going to do what
Torpedo
they did in the books, what they did to Shatner's character, Kirk, winds up being cloned. And he's running around in the universe, in the books universe. He's running around because they cloned him from his corpse.
Well, they cloned Picard too, right? And that was Shinzon.
Yeah, that was Shinzon. Yep.
Nemesis. So
yep.
If
but
there's
it shows
one
what
clone of
happens if
Picard
they
out there,
cloned him.
there might be a lot more.
No, they cloned Picard in Shinzon, but they made him an emo. So
He really was too.
Yeah.
So does this mean that since Picard is now a synth, he's going to be more like Data and Soji, where they trust everyone and, he has those qualities? Or is he going to be like Picard, where he's a crotchety old man?
That is a good question. Does he have the same quote unquote programming as himself? Or did they get in there and maybe throw a couple tweaks in there? Maybe a little less Earl Grey.
Right. What if he doesn't like Earl Grey anymore? Oh, my God.
Oh, what happened? Yeah, seriously. Right. What happened if it is? Instead of going to the replicator and say, Earl Grey, hot. He goes, Scotch, neat.
Why not party it up? Oh, you're still here,
See, that's another thing. If they tweaked his body and everything, then they should have tweaked him back to where he didn't have to order decaf anymore.
Yeah. Right?
Seriously. It's like Intruder Alert. Picard, you gonna fight them? Oh no, bud. I get bitches for that. Elnor.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Now, so let's go back to the clone thing real quick. As we know here on Earth, when they clone, it's not an exact replica of the clone before. They don't have the same personality. They don't have the same mannerisms. They aren't the same. We saw that, like you were saying, with Nemesis and Picard's clone, where it was a totally different person, even though it was still Picard, but, nature versus nurture. So where was I going with this? Fuck.
Oh, there's that Matrix glitch.
Oh, thank you. Yes, the Matrix glitch. I think that's what happened because I just completely brain farted.
It was working pretty good before it farted, though.
Yeah, it was, but I can't remember where I was going with that.
You're totally on a roll. So, yeah, nature versus nurture.
Shit, I'm getting
Nathan,
old.
did you neuralize her?
Yeah. It could have been 31.
I'm getting old. We need to put me in a synth body here pretty soon.
We should order golems for all of us.
Yes.
Seriously.
Well, they clone like pets in South Korea, right? You can actually clone your dog for about $60,000.
Yeah. And then Dolly the sheep, she was cloned. And that's where they found out that, it's not, when you clone them, it's not the same personality. So therefore, that's where I was going with it. If the clone is not the same, how can we say that the android is going to be the same? You can't clone everything. Well, same thing with the Golem transfer. You can't transfer everything. So in season 2, I'm wondering, how is Picard going to be different? This allows Patrick Stewart to do a whole new character. It doesn't have to be the same old Picard. Now he's something totally new.
That's
what
true.
If he's just the Picard that he was on Free Cloud the entire time?
Give me a hard 6. Give me a hard 8. Double down on that 11. It's a whole new Picard.
Well, supposedly the thing that killed Picard was some sort of a thing in his brain, right?
Yeah.
So
right, when he was
they removed that when they created the positronic body. So theoretically, by removing that, whatever that issue was, they could have changed the way he was, because whatever that defect was, it could have affected his personality and his mannerisms.
Exactly.
You act differently knowing that you don't have that problem. So you're going to act and live differently.
No, when you have something in your brain like that, no wonder why he was acting like a dick in season 1. I mean, I was the whole time, season 1, I'm like, God, Picard is such an asshole. Well, he had that thing in his head. That makes sense.
Maybe it's a tumor.
Yeah, exactly. Like a tumor.
Not a tumor. Oh, boy. Well, yeah, but he went to Nepenthe, so he definitely had that big change around when he was on Nepenthe. He got rewrited meeting up with the Rikers again.
He didn't want them to see him act like a dick. And even then they were still like, God, Picard, you're a dick.
I think he was starting to realize that he was being a dick and he wasn't being the standard Picard that he always was. And he needed to get reminded. It was a while, spending that much time out there, squeezing the grapes and making the wine. After so many years, you kind of forget what you're doing, right?
What if this is the real Picard, though, and we just didn't see the real Picard in the Next Generation because that was all the cut scenes or all the, all the side
You're saying
scenes.
Picard's been a dick all along.
Yes, we just didn't see it.
He just got crotchety when he got old.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he didn't like children. That was well established all the way through.
I can agree with that, though. I don't like children either.
I'm not crazy about children.
No, I don't like him either.
Where he didn't like children at all.
But that's another issue that I had with him. No, okay, so he had some sort of brain issue that was terminal, right?
Yeah.
So, but they didn't really explain it. They just kind of left it vague. But how many planets and civilizations have they visited through TOS and TNG? And how many new technologies did they gain? And all this medical new stuff that they found with other peoples and beings, and they couldn't fix whatever the heck was wrong within his head?
Yeah, because we didn't have treaties or agreements for technology going back and forth with them. Because if you have certain places, certain technology for whatever friggin' reason is always banned or you can't do it, especially.
But even among the worlds of the Federation, there's no technology that could fix his little brain issue.
Well, they had the same thing happen with Kirk where they couldn't fix his eyes. That's why they gave him glasses.
Yeah, which was another silliness, right? They could clone Geordi new eyes, but I guess that was way later.
It's called convenience in writing.
Yeah, I know.
Continuity issues.
It was definitely a plot device. I know that, but
yeah.
But when you really think about it, there's a lot of stuff. They could transplant Spock's brain.
Right.
Oh, that was that was the really bad one on that one.
That was a good episode.
That show was on its way out. That's when you could tell the writers and nobody else really cared anymore when they came down to Spock's brain is missing.
His brain, it's gone. Ta-da! Yeah.
But who now the curious thing, I think, which is going to be a definite plot point if they pick up on it for next season, is that everyone talked about the Golem, and I agree, but you don't know if they did anything, especially Soon's son.
That's true. He could have tweaked him.
We don't know. That may came up. He could have put something in there where all of a sudden they come up to him, they go, Picard, yes, Krellis. And he goes batshit crazy.
Well, we know he did. They did tweak them because all synths are good in bed. So now Picard is going to rock it in bed. So technically, they did change him.
Probably at the same time. Hey.
So he was altered. He was enhanced.
Was he not that good before? I don't know.
We
Have
don't
you asked
know.
Bosch?
We haven't seen Vosh in a few years, so we just do not know. And we don't know what happened with Beverly. I want to find out what happened with Beverly.
Yes, I want to see her in season 2.
Yeah, you think he crushed it?
Well, that could be his new catchphrase. How would you like to see my number one?
And Beverly's like, wow, you got a lot bigger since the last time I saw you.
Oh, Jean Luc.
Have you been enhanced? Well, yes, but not in the way you think.
Is that your medical opinion?
I've been enhanced for your pleasure. One never knows. We gotta reel this back just a little bit before we lose our explicit rating to super explicit rating.
Too late.
Oh, that was just medical opinion, right?
Yeah, it was officially a medical opinion.
Yeah.
She had to inspect it more to verify.
But, you know, in a way, if you remember towards the very last, the last episode, almost the last scene, is that the way he said engaged was Picard's old vigor and vim that he did from the very beginning of the series in TNG. Because before, he didn't have, in my opinion, the same authoritative and command presence.
Probably just didn't have the energy, too.
Yeah, well, he's getting out of breath running up the stairs.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to see in season 2. Is he going to be a little bit more agile in movement? And is he going to be the original OG Picard with all that vigor? I want to see that again. I understand he may not want to play it exactly the same as back then, and he doesn't have to. But the situations they put him in, I want to see him, take charge and run shit,
I have to agree with you on that part because, them having a new body, which means all the aches and pains, and basically, even though they made them chronologically the same, the muscles are still like new.
Well, that's a good question. He complained about getting down on his knees.
Yeah.
Is he going to have that problem now? Or are the knees functional in multiple techniques?
He is versed in multiple. Yep, he is versed in multiple techniques. So those knees are going to be fine when he goes down.
Oh boy, that's what she said.
So it's definitely going to be interesting. I am very much looking forward to next season, not only because we see more of Seven and we get a chance to see if she's really going to bump uglies with Ralphie.
Whoa.
We're going to be
that was.
I wasn't expecting that.
Nowhere.
I liked that when I saw that. It's like,
but there was no basis for the relationship.
I agree with that.
They didn't build that up. They didn't indicate to anything.
No, but they didn't know if they had a past. They could have had a past. We don't know the full extent between
Sometimes
Seven
you just
and her.
run into somebody and you gel with them like you've never before.
Instant connection.
Yeah.
Besides, it's not like they kissed. They just held hands.
True.
That's not, big.
They were finger humping, which is kind of cool.
They were finger humping.
There is a Vulcan technique. I don't know how it applies to Borgs and humans, but yeah.
And I would like to see the crew as it stands on the last scene shows a really good dynamic with all of them because you basically have the head of security, which is going to be Elnor, even though that's not an official title. And it shows just how capable he was. And even though he was acting kind of childlike, the part that stands out for me the most, I guess, him as a character and an actor, when he was looking at what's his face? What's the Romulan dude that I don't stand? That weaselly little bastard.
Narek.
When he was staring at Narek, that look in his eyes was like, oh my God, it's like the same look Andy gives if you try to take his weights away.
Elnor, I thought his official title was Ninja Elf.
He was pretty good. I will say that his character was off. Who was your favorite character, Andy? Did you have one on Picard?
That's a good question on Picard.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it. I don't know if any of them really resonated with me like they did in Next Generation. I did really enjoy seeing Ninian Sung's son. I thought that was a good
Dr. Alta.
throwback to Ninian Sung.
Yeah, it was.
But I don't feel like any of the characters resonate. Like all the Next Gen cast, half of them I really, really, really enjoyed, especially the original Data. But I feel like I have little problems with most of the main cast in Picard that just kind of bothered me somehow.
Can you put your finger on it? Like, do you know what exactly bothers you?
I feel like they did too cliche. They were trying to fulfill specific plot points which were overdone. Raffi going and trying to find her son, her estranged son, and that just felt, I don't know.
It did feel like they're trying to do shorthand sometimes. They're trying to squeeze a lot of it into a short amount of time, even though we got an entire season's worth, a Netflix season's worth. Well, not Netflix, CBS All Access. That style, the big show. It felt like we were squeezing stuff in still.
Well, 10 episodes.
Yeah, a lot of the plot points just felt rehashed.
Yeah.
Which brought me back to that point where I think I originally brought up is how come, okay, so the villains usually have, in my opinion, they have three motivations. One is they just want power. Another is they have a warped ideology. And the third one, which I still don't get, is the acquisition of wealth, right? Which doesn't really make sense in this post-scarcity economy.
Thank you. I agree with you. Sorry.
No, that's a good point.
So, I mean, they encountered so many different villains, which I felt like they're still out for money or they're doing crazy things out for money. Why?
One of the things that I thought about when it came to that, because we discussed on that on a previous podcast, is that Federation is not supposed to be based on money or currency. However, we've discovered with the Ferengi that other races don't have that issue. They actually are based on currency, or else you wouldn't have Mud going around trying to make money, selling off, various items and doing things. You wouldn't have had hardcore Mud being a pirate. You wouldn't have had that situation. Then you have somebody like the Marquis, let's say, who are not operating as Federation anymore. So how do they get starships? How do they get stuff? They got to find some sort of currency that other races might accept.
Yeah, well, Marquis was like ideology, right? They wanted to protect their planets that were given back to Cardassia or whatever. But and I get that's part of the ideology thing, or protecting a certain beliefs. But the whole money. What was the character's name that Seven killed? The one that was stealing all the Borg implants.
Yeah, Bajazzle.
Bajazzle.
Yeah.
Yes. Why is that so important to steal Borg implants for money?
Because they're not in Federation. So I'm thinking that for whatever currency that the rest of the people use outside of the Federation is still in high demand. It'd be like, I guess, a barter system per se. You don't have to use money within a closed environment, such as the Federation. But outside that closed environment, there's no exchange rate for non-credit. The only thing they can offer is goodwill and protection.
Platinum.
Then shouldn't the struggle instead of trying to get money, to try to be in the Federation?
Not everyone wants to be in the army.
No, not everyone wants to join. You have outside. Heather's correct. And for those of you that are listening, if you have any idea on this, we'd love to hear from you on that. So send us an email, drop us a line somewhere. You'll get the links and the information at the end of this podcast. We'd like to hear from you so we can bring this topic up as well on the next episode. But yeah, that's what I think, that it's possible that in the Federation, you don't need the money, because they say like Picard, I need a starship. All right, let's send them, but other people like Ralphie, she couldn't get a starship just because she had one, that she wanted it, because once she was outside the Federation, I guess there was some sort of way for her to try to get something. What do you think there, Rocky?
I don't know. I could use a few more credits myself, so I don't understand the we don't have money anymore thing. It's a big galaxy. It's a big universe. There's plenty of room for money, and kind of agree with that too. So yeah, it's a beautiful idea. We don't have to worry about money anymore. We gave up on that. Everybody's taken care of now. It's not a perfect universe though.
I got a question. In the original series, in the Next Generation, and even Deep Space Nine and Voyager, did they ever come across this? Did they ever have to worry about money for another alien species, or for some reason?
Well, I mean, you got the big brains talking about quatludes. I'll put 50,000 quatludes on that guy over there.
Yeah.
Money exists. The whole concept of it still exists. I think it's more of a comical element that the people in Starfleet aren't used to it, and they happen to run into something like this, and like, oh, they use money still. We need to get some money.
Did we see that with Quark and everything?
Quark is always...
Yeah, Quark needed money. He was always about to go press Latinum.
Ferengi are all about the business,
Yeah. And we also had the one where the Starfleet was supposed to send a ship every year to the Elosians.
Oh, yes.
To get their cut from a piece of the action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're aware of the concept. It looks like the Federation just doesn't deal with cash per se. So, it's interesting, but I don't think that would ever work.
Also, to another question, is it just the Federation or everyone on Earth?
Well, apparently, if you looked at Raffi's situation, you would think it was everyone on Earth, but it apparently doesn't seem that way. I don't know.
That's a good point.
It's one of these things where we look at it and go, yeah, that's a plot device, or that's a convenient thing some writer came up with. And I'm just going to let it go, because you sit there and pay too much time on this and you go crazy. And some of us like to go crazy, but I go crazy about some other things.
Some of us are stuck in our quarters quarantined because our captain told us to and have nothing else to do.
Yeah, where's that money? What's up with the money thing?
Hey, I know it must be working, because I've seen Section 31 appear in your room, Heather, and they're wearing masks.
They are the only visitors I get nowadays.
They only wear masks when they visit Heather.
You know, the only thing we hear on the audio is they go into your room and then we hear him goes, "Oh shit, she's still awake," and they beam back out.
Well, yeah, because then I start talking up a storm because I've had no visitors. I'm like, oh, good, you guys are here. Let's talk about. Nope, they beam out.
Did you have a favorite part of the series, Andy? You didn't have a favorite character per se. Wow, any favorite arcs or scenes?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I was pretty excited when I saw the planet of the Synths. And so that was kind of a good plot point. So overall, I enjoyed the show, but I don't feel like it resonated with me like some of the older Star Trek shows. I felt like a lot of the plots were rehashed, and the villains, like I mentioned before, they're motivated by my money, which still kind of just But having the planet of Synth was probably one of my more favorite things. And then having the big giant flowers come up from the surface to defend the planet was actually a little bit more unique, because I've never seen a bunch of spacefaring flowers come up and to defend a planet. That was new.
It was so cool, because that's one thing Star Trek's doing now that's taking science fiction in a direction we don't necessarily see it go all the time. Let's talk about the spore drive in Discovery, or the giant flowers coming your way. Nature-inspired sci-fi is freaking cool. I kind of like it.
I agree.
I actually really like the idea of the spore drive. I thought that was very unique and original. I know a lot of people had problems with mushrooms being able to travel, faster than light.
I don't have any personal experience, man, but mushrooms will take you places.
That's for certain.
Yeah. I have my own pet tardigrade, which I built, which of course has little to do with Picard, but he's a little tardigrade. He sits on my shoulders and he actually moves.
Nice.
I wore him on the Star Trek cruise last month.
So tell us a little bit about the cruise. How was it?
Oh, I loved it. I've been tended every cruise since they started having them 4 years ago. So we had the fourth one this last month.
For people who have never done it before, tell us what your normal day is, or tell us what you normally do. Just describe your experience, because I bet that's just amazing.
Yeah, so we're all here in California, West Coast, or Vegas, but the cruise comes out of Miami, Florida. So we all have to go fly out to Miami. And typically when you take a cruise, you really want to get there the day before, just in case there's issues with the flight. So the day we get there, that night, there is a pre-cruise party in a hotel in Miami, and a lot of the people show up there. And since this year's cruise was the fourth one, it's a lot of people that attend. And then, like when you go to Star Trek Las Vegas, you see a lot of the same people. And sometimes you only see these people on the cruise. So it's a lot like a great homecoming reunion in the last couple of cruises. So we always have a good time there. And then the next day you get onto the boat, and it's a lot like having a convention on a boat, but you can never leave, right? If you're in a city for a convention, you can go somewhere else, but not when you're on the boat. So you confined, and you got to do the cruise, or you just sit in your room. But it's a little bit different feel from a convention, in that I think that there's much more nightlife going on the boat. There's always parties and dance parties and music playing at night. But in a lot of respects, it is also similar. I think more people cosplay in conventions than they do on the cruise. And then, of course, it's easier typically to bring larger cosplay type items to a convention than it is onto the boat. So I would say only probably 10% of the people are really hardcore cosplayers on the cruise, as I think is far more people in a regular convention.
Well,
But I love it. We enjoy it. We're planning to go again next year. I highly recommend it to everybody who enjoys this kind of stuff. Try it. It's probably a little bit more expensive than going to a convention. But ultimately, I still don't feel it's that expensive because when you pay for the cruise, you're essentially paying for lodging, your food, and entertainment, and it's all wrapped up. And you don't really need to spend too much more money unless you're, heavy drinker or you want to do some of the excursions. There's not quite as much product or memorabilia to buy on the cruise as there is in a convention. But it's a different feel, but a similar crowd.
Do you have to worry about what level of cabin you end up getting stuffed into?
Some people worry about it. I personally don't. We don't spend that much time in the cabin.
Okay.
And we feel, we just go there pretty much just to sleep.
It's like Vegas. So, you go there and you got a nice big hotel room, but you're never in it.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. So I don't worry about it. Some people do. They feel like they need a balcony room or a room with a window, but if you're stuck in the bowels of the ship, this last ship that they were on, even the worst rooms were reasonably large for cruise. So I was comfortable. I wasn't worried about it.
And how about the celebrities on board the ship? Do they behave differently than?
I think that they hit a new record this past cruise. I think somebody told me they had like 28 celebrities, which was much higher than previous cruises. I think in the past that they had maybe in the teens. So quite a few people showed up.
Can you name a list?
I could. Let me see if I can pull it up so that I don't have to remember it.
And were they engaging as much or more so than they are at the Star Trek in Vegas?
I think perhaps they're more engaging because you're stuck on a boat. You have to engage because you can't hide as easily.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere. They can't get away from people.
Yeah, exactly. So
they don't even have a bathroom on the ship, so they can't run and hide in the bathroom.
Yeah,
so they just hang over the edge.
Well,
just like a spaceship, there's no bathrooms, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it's very, very often you wind up in the turbo lift with celebrities and you're just walking down the hallways and everything and you see them all the time. And then they're in the parties just dancing right next to you.
Well, imagine how much money you save because you're not paying for the selfies like at the convention.
Yeah. Some of them will selfie with you and others, maybe not so much.
The ones that are not so much are the ones usually not the fan favorites, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure that if Shatner would do a selfie with you, but...
No, I can see him coming out to do his obligation and then heading back to his room. I can't see him hanging out poolside.
No, he didn't quite. I don't think he quite hung out. I never saw him hanging out. But a lot of the other ones did. What's his name? Captain Pike. I probably ran into him a dozen times. He was on the cruise. I pulled up the list here so that I wouldn't get it wrong. And Garrett Wong.
Garrett is awesome.
Brent Spiner.
Yeah, he is too.
Marina Sirtis.
Okay.
Gates McFadden, Denise Crosby, John Delancey, Nana Visitor, Casey Biggs. I wound up talking to Casey Biggs, and then Lana and I had lunch with him. Just the three of us sitting at the table, just chatting away.
Oh,
that's cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Chase Masterson, Max Grodinchik, Jeffrey Combs, Vaughn Armstrong, Steve Rankin, Wilson Cruz, Ethan Peck. I asked Ethan Peck because I really thought when I was on the cruise, I thought, they're going to announce the a Captain Pike show. I really thought, this is a perfect venue for them to do it. And if they really wanted to do it, Ethan Peck and Captain Pike, they're both there. And I thought, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. And I asked Ethan Peck about it, and he goes, if they're going to do that, then it's news to me because I haven't heard about it.
They're actors. You have to watch out for that. They can act.
That's what I thought. But I thought that if he knew about it, he would say, no comment. But if it didn't happen, then I thought he would give the answer that he gave. Right? Because if they're going to do the show, they really have to have negotiations and talks with the actors ahead of time. So he was basically indicating that they hadn't had any talks like that.
I think it's all, they're still trying to get through Discovery, another season of that, and then they're going to start looking at Pike. I think it's literally, they've got it laid out so far in the future that everything's still up in the air, but I'm pretty sure they're going to do something.
Yeah, that's probably true. But I mean, there's issues with doing a show like that, right? Because if they really want to do the show, then they have to have the actors lined up, because there's always a chance that these guys might get onto another show as a series regular.
And it's not like they're not doing anything. These are all good actors working.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what happened like way back with the original Battlestar Galactica, right? When they wanted to renew it, the series regulars had already taken jobs with other shows, right? And so they couldn't even renew the second season because they started negotiations too late.
Got to get your calendar in order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought that if they really want to do it, they better start talking to these guys. But apparently, according to Ethan Peck, who plays Spock, they hadn't done that.
Do you guys know when the season 3 of Discovery is supposed to come out in 2020?
It was delayed.
Sometime soon.
All I could find is 2020, and that's it.
You know what? The article I read was talking about the composer and making the music for, well, they were talking about what they did for Picard, but he's also doing several of the episodes in the next Discovery. And of course, everybody's quarantined. Even the composer and the band is quarantined.
Yeah.
So he can work from his room and compose, but they've got to get the band together to record the darn thing. So that's, so at the point in time where we're at right now, we've got at least till May. You think you're somewhere in May for the world to start coming back together. And then you've got to get everyone's schedule lined up and get them into the room, get the music recorded, get it
Everything's
sequenced,
delayed.
all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So
everyone's at least another month, 2 months out. Right. So
probably November, October, November, December, somewhere.
It better be a very good Christmas by the time we get there.
From what I've heard before, the show was originally supposed to be released around in May for season 3.
Oh, really? That early?
However, with everything that happened with the COVID-19, the people who work on it have to work on it from their homes and not in a big environment in a bullpen like they normally do. So it might have pushed it back a couple of months. So we don't know 100% certain for that.
Yeah, the stories I was hearing was, it takes an extra week or two just to get the editors back together. So you got, the editors are delayed a couple bits. Now you can't do the music until you have the darn thing edited because it's got to be locked in time. So, the effects people are working on their parts. Their parts are probably predetermined and easy to put in and slot in where it needs to, and editing it together. Yeah, once you get your computer up and running and everything's in sequence and everybody's seen everything, you got a little extra time to get that together. But then, the music, I understand completely can hold stuff up. So you got to hold up the music and get the music together. So we're definitely all waiting at least till then. So yeah.
Yep, I agree. And they also, when they talk about a Zoom, they have to keep the porn and the dick pitch off the conversation.
The
as
Zoom
much as
meetings
possible.
can be very interesting in other world techniques.
Now, with all that you said there, Andy, it makes me curious about whether or not if I should look into next year, because chances are if they're doing the cruise, they'll probably have, if not all, but a good portion of the cast from Picard will be on the ship, because it seems like they tend to do that.
I think that's a good possibility. If you want to go, I think you should probably look into registering soon. See, the first 3 cruises they did in January, and then the 4th one they moved to March. And so when they moved it to March, it sold out pretty fast. And I think the next year's cruise will again be in March. So I suspect it might sell out again pretty fast if they're not already almost there.
If I don't, I'll just live vicariously through you. So that would be a good thing. And Heather, are you there? Did Section 31 grab you? What was your favorite part of the Picard this season? Did you have a favorite character?
7 of 9.
Huh.
For an old character, 7 of 9. I also really liked Hugh. I liked his character when they came back, and I was really upset when they killed him. Mm-hmm. And for new characters, I would have to say Raffi. So for old characters, it was 7 and 9 in Hugh, and for new characters, it was Raffi. And they were awesome.
And did you have a favorite scene or favorite moment with them?
I had a lot, so there's not really one that I could point out.
That stands out. Okay.
Yeah, that stands out. I liked seeing them on the Artifact, which it was a little House of Horrors. Welcome to the House of Horrors. That's what I think, It's like a haunted house in a way. But I liked all of those, and I really enjoyed this season a lot. For the first season, which is usually the worst season out of all of them, for this first season, I really liked this a lot.
How about you, Rocky?
Oh, boy. If I had to pick a favorite new character, and I like a lot of them, I would have to go with Rios, just because he's so multi-talented. being 5 holograms and a guy. I also like the flavor of the dude. He's got the Latino flavor to him, and that's just cool for me. I also, overall, the season was, I love the season. I love the show. There's missed potential in the characters that we did not get to explore. I really was upset about losing Dahj right there in the first episode. I really like Dahj.
Yeah.
And Soji's Soji, but she's not Dahj. So I was really into Dahj.
Yeah, but they look almost exactly the same, don't they?
Yeah, but that's exactly why I did not like her as much as her, because they're exactly the same in every way. Calling back to the original series, if you haven't seen that episode with Harry Mudd.
Yep.
But I really was curious. I wanted to learn more about her, and it was sad to lose her so quickly. I like Soji, but she's gotten a little bit of Narek on her. So I wasn't really feeling Soji as much. I think she'll redeem me some more in the future.
Literally got some Narek on her.
And in her, what are you going to do? Girls do that stuff. You can't control that. Let's see, what else did I like about the show? I really enjoyed so many of the moments. Hugh was great. Another missed opportunity to find out more about a character that was just really hitting on all cylinders as far as the entire show is concerned. I think Hugh was one of the big ones. And I really enjoyed visiting Free Cloud. I really was upset that we lost Vup so quickly. I think Vup was so fucking cool. He could have had his own show. Just because he's a weirdo, weirdo big dude, running stuff. I kind of like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the show overall. You listen to everyone else's podcast I don't have everyone else's, but a couple here and there. And you hear a lot of people that sound like they're actors or writers that are upset they can't be involved with this show because they want to do it in their way. And as a fan, I can see a lot of people looking at the characters and say, well, this character would never do that. I can't believe this character went that way. But personally, me, as my own style of fan, I'm just here for the ride. I love the experience. I'm enjoying it. Is it crazy that Seven's become a badass but alcoholic? And Seven would never do that. But Seven has. This is who she is now. I'm on the ride because I still want to find out what she's doing and how she's handling things. Is Picard not the same Picard? Yeah, but he's still Picard, and he has his moments where he comes right through. Yeah, overall, I'm with it. I'm on board. And yeah, the first series is always a little bit has to grab its foot. And I was rewatching the series. I was trying to cram the entire thing in before this episode. I got up to season 8, and I'm on only so many hours of sleep. But I really did enjoy catching up again and rewatching the first couple of them, because they really nailed the first several episodes, bringing you back into this world. It really felt really good. A lot of people still complained about we're simulating the world in our world of Star Trek, and this modern day world doesn't fit in that, and Starfleet would never do this. Yeah, I agree, but I'm here for the story. I'm here for the ride, and I'm on board, and I'm enjoying it. So I can't wait for more. I want season 2 to hit. I want to see where we go. The world is wide open. They all got on that bridge, and it's like this adventure is going to happen, and we don't know where or how or why, and it's completely clean slate. So I'm like, yeah, I'm all positive on Star Trek Picard.
The thing that I'm going to be looking forward to, for me, well, one of the new characters that I became enamored with is Elnor and Raffi, and of course Rios. And that just stands to show the acting that these people were able to bring those characters to life in such a rich degree. However, one of the things that popped up in my head, because I get situational awareness, Andy could go with this, being in the service, you tend to look for all kinds of possible angles and events for something that can go wrong. You have a planet of synthetics there, and Seven is on board the ship, and she left. What will happen if that cube becomes active again, and they got a whole planet of synths to assimilate?
That's a good plot point.
Can a synth be assimilated?
Yeah, well, that's going to be interesting. Or what if they turn around and do it? Well, we know Sung is still on the planet, but you have a Borg Cube, and it was repairing itself when they left. And Seven left with everybody else. So what's going to happen with that cube? That's the thing in my mind.
It's going to be that dude that always screams Locutus. He's going to get that sucker running. He's going to start chasing after him, Picard, going, "Hey, Locutus, what about us? We're still here, man. We love you."
He's the one old dude in your old neighborhood that never moved, that never leaves. When you walk down the block, they recognize you. Hey!
Yeah, what's up, dude? Good going, man.
Oh my God, I haven't seen you in 45 years. Where you been? And you're still on the same step in front of the house.
Probably drinking the same beer. Yep.
Seriously, did you ever finish that 40 ounce? What's going on? So that's
a good question.
Either that, or what could happen is that's the reason why they left Narek at the Borg Cube. So that way, when the Borg Cube came, they would find Narek.
That's an interesting point too, and that's one of the ones I saw in some of the articles going across this week when they were talking with some of the producers and writers. Yeah, they kind of left Narek out in the open because of editing, so we didn't get to see what actually happened to him. They're saying, maybe he's arrested by Starfleet, but we didn't get to see that. So where is Narek? Did you leave him on that planet full of synths? And he likes the Soji copy very much. Am I right? And he knows that Borg Cube. Yeah,
he's on cloud 9. Yeah. He's in a little sex planet right there.
He's having the time of his life right now.
Oh my God, that's hilarious!
Chicka, wow, wow.
And he has so many different to choose from.
Banging bots for life. He's gonna get a T-shirt.
And what's up with Riker? Did he resign his commission after he went to go help?
Good question.
Those are questions that floated in my head. I mean, it was really cool. I think one of my favorite scenes in the season, one of the many favorites I have, was seeing Riker show up in the Odyssey spacecraft. I mean, in the Odyssey starship. That was really friggin' cool to see him appear. And his line he gave was like, that was just badass.
All badass, all balls, all Riker. It was so good.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I thought that he was going to offer to make them pizza or something.
I want to bring this up real quick. Can you imagine the conversation the next time Picard meets anybody? Riker, Troy, Beverly. Hi, yes, this is Picard. However, Picard died and we sort of transformed him into a golem and he's a synth, just so you know. But yeah, it is technically Picard, but he died. But like, can you imagine that conversation?
Deep, yeah. So you're like Data now, but you're not.
Yeah, so Riker. Yeah. So yeah, like that was the last time you said goodbye to, Picard, and then he died, and now you're seeing this synth, and he's not technically Picard, but he is.
That's a head tripper right there.
Oh, is he going to be one of those people that every time you talk to them, they bring up this one thing they always do? It's like, hi, I'm Picard. I'm a synth.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm Picard? I'm a synth.
I want to see Clancy have a conversation with him now.
Oh.
Okay, you fucking robot. What do you want now? Yeah.
Seriously.
Wait, you're not Picard? Are you?
You need to get your positronic brain changed.
And I really wanted them to bring Q back in next season. And
that would be... Well, if they're bringing Whoopi back, they should bring him back.
What would Q and Whoopi think about Synth Picard?
Ooh.
Wow.
And with Picard, with Q would probably know automatically.
Yeah.
Well,
Can you imagine?
If they're bringing Whoopi and Q, well, first of all, we know they're bringing Whoopi back. So if they're bringing Whoopi back, I really hope they go further into her backstory, who she is, what alien race is she, more about her. Please, please, please do this.
At least a little bit more than serving drinks and witty conversation at the bar.
Didn't they already talk about her in Generations? Because wasn't she part of that ship that the Enterprise?
Well, yeah, she was on the Nexus. Yeah,
she was on the Nexus. Yeah, she was part of the crew that first got wrapped up with the Nexus.
So they did quite a bit of backstory on her already, I think. I'm afraid that if they brought back more backstory, it would either clash with that or would just be too much.
Yeah, but we also know she was around during the days of Mark Twain.
Right.
Because at that time when they went back in time, remember they found Data's brain like beneath the city somewhere?
Yeah, that was Time's Arrow, wasn't it?
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so I'd love to be able to see it and to see like Q come back. Picard, what happened to you? You're a little robot man now. How did you know, Q?
Oh my God.
We know everything.
Yeah.
He would show up like, I'm a robot too. Hey, let's go compute together.
That would have been amazing. We're now, unfortunately, reaching towards the end of our podcast here. Before we even start our normal goodbyes and everything like that, I really have to thank our super fan, Andy, for beaming on board here and joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for all your insight. Oh, it was an honor.
It's really my honor.
Thank you.
And if you don't mind, we'll try to find you again and have you back on the show, especially when the second season popped off.
Oh, I'd love to be on the show again.
Because your insight is pretty cool. Yeah.
Really my pleasure.
And we also, so make sure you let Lana know. I don't know where she's out in a nebula looking for coffee or cotton candy or something like that.
I saw her jogging. With another pair.
Oh, that explains it.
She was jogging.
But thank you so much. As we're getting ready to go, we don't have any corrections for this week. So that's a good thing. Any podcasts you want to show some love to, Heather? Yours, of course.
I listen to a lot of political podcasts and I don't want to give them any love because it's politics.
Then how about your stuff on YouTube? Tell people who don't know about Vegas Aces.
So if you guys are bored, if you're stuck inside, you got nothing to do, and you want to play a little bit of a casino table games, we are doing tournaments. You could come in, play blackjack, pai gow poker, mini baccarat is going to be on Thursday the 9th at 2 p.m. And you can come in, and whoever has the most chips at the end of the tournament wins a pair of dice from the Sunset Station, and we ship that off to you. So it's something fun to do while you're quarantined. If anyone's interested.
Those dice are nice. I will admit I've seen them. They're awesome. And you can always say you had a chance to hold Heather's dice. So that makes it really good. How about you there, Rocky?
I'm a fan of the jumbo dice. I have a set of the jumbo dice, but now I have some of the regular ones too, because I won one of those tournaments. I'm like, I can't believe I won that. That was so cool.
That was fun.
Dice? Why did you call them jugglies?
No, those are something else.
Oh, okay.
I already had those.
And for me, I don't have anything to really promote this week other than the fact that our show, Starfleet Underground, make sure, please, if you like our show, don't like our show, let us know. You have questions that you want to hear on the next podcast. We're going to be answering all of our listeners' questions and comments, and you could wind up being on just like our super fan here, Andy. So give us a shout, give us a wave. Make sure you stay safe. Again, wash your hands at least 20 seconds underneath soap and water. You got to sing happy birthday to yourself twice. That's usually a good 20-second thing. Also, it's been decreed that if you go out, try to get some sort of face covering. That's also not to protect yourself, it's to protect other people. Because apparently there are a lot of people who have the COVID-19, but they're not showing any symptoms. And they feel that's how it's being spread out there a lot. So be safe, protect your other fellow humans.
Yeah, please be safe.
Yes. And us here at the crew of Starfleet Underground wish you not only to have a great week, make it so.
Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.